Peace. This is King Noble Black Supremacy. And with this particular video, I want to talk about some things I noticed during the Coronapocolypse, the collapse of the Matrix, the definite end to white supremacy as we know it. I want to talk about some opportunistic installments, or should I say trial runs, or societal changes. For one, we're moving into a society of electronic surveillance. This whole coronavirus is showing the potential for the utilization of electronic surveillance, and that's going to invade the privacy of United States citizens. But under the auspices of coronavirus, they want to track your every move. GPS tracking of human beings and your activities, your locations, your whereabouts, full information on you, under the auspices of keeping you safe and preventing the widespread of this pandemic. That's one, electronic surveillance, which to me taps into some other areas, but I'll connect them. Also, we're moving into a cashless society. No more cash. People have been talking about this for the last 20 years or more, moving into a cashless society where everything is digital, moving into a digital world. No more paper money, all digital, which connects to electronic surveillance, tracking your every move, making you a prisoner of the state, a ward of the state. Desocialization, number 3. Stopping people from talking, congregating, having events, protesting, under the auspices of social distancing. They're distancing you from being social, from connecting with your loved ones, people of like minds in the real world, turning you into a virtual slave, where the only way you can interface with the people you know is through their artificial virtual reality matrix. They're going to try to replace the physical matrix that is collapsing with a virtual matrix, turning you into what I'm calling a prisoner of the cyber world. They want to put you on light code lockdown, but through the cyber world. No more socialization in real time, in the real world. It has to be online, in their artificially created matrix, the internet. Virtual reality-based society. Can't go to church, no gatherings, only through social media, only through their virtual reality, where they can track you and control you and bombard you with other ideas and advertisement and marketing. The end of all moms and pops businesses is 5 on my list. They want their corporations, Walmart, their major corporations, to run everything. Those that are controlled by the elite and the wealthy. No more moms and pops businesses. That's the negative side. Of course, we know there's going to be a lot more hustling now. Hustling will replace mom and pop's businesses and online distribution. People being entrepreneur about distributing their products online, where they will be virtually tracked by the IRS and other institutions. But they want all business online. So hustling will be your only way to live outside of the matrix. It'll turn everyone into a hustler. Everybody will turn into the so-called drug dealer, the person selling socks and cigarette lighters and etc. Everybody will be forced to hustle or be a financial and economic slave to that digital currency and virtual reality. Totalitarian leadership. We noticed that Donald Trump was a fan of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. He liked his imperialistic style of being a dictatorship, his totalitarian rule. Now, through the coronavirus, under the auspices of COVID-19, they're attempting to install a dictatorship under the leadership of Donald Trump. America is moving into a totalitarian style of government where the federal government will attempt to seize power from all of the states and become a totalitarian rulership of course, white supremacy. That totalitarian rulership will lead to a one world government where America wants to be at the head. There'll be one world government to take the lead. They're all fighting now. Bill Gates, WHO, World Health Organization. All of these entities are now fighting to be the head of the one world government. That will be totalitarian leadership under the auspices of these disease control or just the presidency of the United States. If you notice during the COVID-19 outbreak, all of them were saying the same thing. They were able to lock the entire world down. Who led the lockdown of the entire world? Was it China? Was it America? Was it WHO? Was it the CDC? Totalitarian leadership in a new one world government is what they're attempting to create, and they're really fighting. Some local governors, New York, going at it with Trump. There are many, many individuals that would love to step into the one world government leadership position as the one world government is forming under totalitarian leadership. 8. New forms and new reasons for discrimination. They've already discriminated against black people and African people. Now they have a new reason to act out their discrimination and their racism that they have practiced for over the last 400 years. Now it will be under the auspices of the coronavirus and COVID-19. You'll see all their racism and discrimination come out. That's why you see Africans being discriminated against and mistreated and dehumanized in China. And you also see the same type of dehumanization and discrimination against blacks in America and of other nationalities. Xenophobia will be at a rise. But it will all be under the auspices of COVID-19. They'll discriminate racially, but they'll use COVID-19 as the excuse. That was 9. Or 8 and 9 I did. The hyper-sanitization of society. You're going to live in a society that's trying to be so clean under the auspices of COVID-19 or the coronavirus that they're going to try to execute all nature, destroy all natural reality. Anything associated with nature will be considered disease, infested, a bacteria. It will be over-sanitized to the point that your immune system will not work. You'll be totally dependent on the pharmaceutical companies, the cleaning agencies. You'll be totally dependent on them for your immunity. because they'll over-sanitize the world where you will not be able to function with living organic bacteria or organisms. Over-sanitize society. We're moving into that. We're going beyond hand sanitizers and washing your hands and Lysol spray to it's an attack on the natural world in its totality. Media and press dependent society, where we live in societies that's totally, our communities, our social reality will depend on social media, which would be very scattered, information overload, very confusing, trying to find information, what's going on, trying to put it together because you hit with so much information from so many angles that'll turn you into a media and press dependent slave. You will be looking to the news and to the media for your survival, for information, to know what's going on for the next move. You won't be able to think without the press and the media. They'll have to tell you when to wash your hands, when to wipe your ass, when to go outside, what to do every second. You will be a media and press dependent slave in the new world. That's what they're going for. And the media and press is fighting against other factions to be the head of the one world government that will be a totalitarian leadership. So you got the media, you got Trump, you got different governors, you got China, people in Europe fighting to be that totalitarian leader of the new world, one world government. The implementation of new social classes. Now I'll get to that one. Let's talk about the implementation of certain socialistic ideas. You'll see universal health care under the auspices of coronavirus, because they have to treat all of these sick people that are sick from the coronavirus / 5G network. All these people will be sick. So they will have to have universal health care to take care of them. Also, we're pushing towards a global universal health care and global universal income, where everybody will have to receive an income in order to guarantee their survival in the new world. And do you find it a coincidence that the 5G came out exactly with this so-called pandemic of the coronavirus? You're going to need a 5G network for the electronic surveillance that they want to install to invade your privacy, to watch everything you do, and to make you a virtual slave in their reality, in their video game, in their matrix. So certain socialistic ideas you see coming, them trying to feed everybody and hand out food to the masses of people, stimulus checks. All of this is universal income, socialist ideas being implemented to be the padding and layers for the totalitarian leadership of the new world, one world government. 13, anti-religious and atheistic-based society that goes along with totalitarian leadership and socialistic ideas. Anti-religion, atheism. They're locking up your pastors. You cannot congregate. You cannot gather up with your people for religious reasons. Atheists. All you can do is depend on the media and the press and interface with your people in virtual reality. They're telling you God is not real, God is not important. They're locking up your pastors, telling you cannot gather in your church. It is an attack on religion. They do not believe in God. God is not real. God cannot save you according to them. They're slowly but surely stripping you of God, of any idea of a God. You won't believe in God after this coronavirus. You will only believe in the state, in a totalitarian leader under white supremacy, under the one world and new world government. Pastors locked up, church shut down. Global education. In order for there to be one world, new world government, the whole world must be educated in the same way. So they must install a global education worldwide that will be done on the virtual reality-based society, on the computer, in the cyber world, on the internet. School will be deregulated, no longer in buildings and institutions. You will no longer come together as students in a school. You will learn online, a global education that will support the totalitarian leadership of the one world and new world government that they intend to set up. So there must be a global education online from home. The implementation of a new class. You had the wealthy and you had the poor, economic classes. Then you had racial classes based on race. There will be a new class called the health class. This health class is people who are immune to 5G networks and coronavirus. This will be the class that will get all the rewards from society, all the jobs, all the employment. They will be the new slaves, the new workhorses. The health class. If you are healthy, you will be the new backbone to society. If you are immune and have the antibodies and have no underlying health conditions, you will be fresh meat, fresh feed, fresh blood for the vampires, the corporations, the elite, and the Illuminati. Hyper-policing and decriminalization. Decriminalization. You all wanted prison reform. You got it now. Prison will be reformed. It will be reformed from the buildings that have been set up and ran by the prison industrial complex. Those buildings will no longer be necessary. They will only house the most violent of criminals and people that are terroristic or against and opposing the totalitarian leadership of the new world and one world government. It will no longer house the criminals as it once did. There will be a prison reform. They are freeing a lot of prisoners, letting them go. If you did not commit a violent crime, you will be freed from prison. They're decriminalizing things where they will no longer detain you and house you for certain criminal acts, any acts of nonviolence. But they will hyper-police, and they will turn the very streets that you live on and exist on into your new prison. Your community and your neighborhood will be your prison. And your only freedom, that the illusion of freedom that they will give you, will be in the virtual and cyber world online. They're hyper-policing now. They're taking those criminals and policing their homes, policing the neighborhoods, and thus policing you, locking down your neighborhoods. The implementation of martial law through a police state. Hyper-policing is coming to you along with electronic surveillance. Tie them in together. They're outsourcing the prison. The prison will be your communities. It will be your neighborhood. It will be your block. They'll claim they're making you safe. And they're just monitoring the new inmates in your neighborhood, which are the outmates. That they're just monitoring them. But they will be monitoring you. And they will lock down your blocks and neighborhoods through hyper-policing. They will take correctional officers and start turning them into police officers. And hyper-police your communities and neighborhoods. They will bring in more drones. And they will bring in robot police officers to maintain the state. the New World, One World government of the totalitarian leadership. I wanted to touch on this. They failed at their matrix. They will likely fail at this because they believe that they are greater than God, which is why they have oppressed his people for over 400 years. It will be another rude awakening, but I'm just making you aware of what they're attempting to do and the changes that I see being implemented. This is King Noble Black Supremacy. Join my website, www.kingnobleblacksupremacy.com. Donate and don't hate.